Hello, and welcome to Old Scary World. Today we'll be looking at some tunnels and some exterior shots of Kerak Castle in Jordan. I found these photos recently, and it had been a while since I've done a video, so I felt that it was perfect timing, and it was a sign to do a little video about this location. Now, we first see here obviously some old world construction here in these tunnels. I thought that, it kind of fit with the kind of vibe, and we know that Jordan is a very biblical, historical kind of location here. So zoom in here, we can see it just kind of extends on here, and we see almost like a different, well, let me put it to you this way: because of the age of this construction, we see almost different techniques, almost like it was repaired in different times. But we see this old here foundation, but then we see almost kind of like some kind of deterioration here, and then the way that it kind of spirals around here. And we don't have a lot of photos. I have about 11 photos, so we're going to try to take our time with each one and really just try to see everything that's going on here. So in this first picture, we see this kind of deterioration. We see kind of like maybe some repairs were going on throughout the centuries and so forth. But what's above it, that's the interesting thing. We'll get to that later in the video, but you can see here, this is what's above it. Okay, so we'll just go back for a second. We have all of this on this. So we have all that weight, okay, above this. And then we have all of this below this. So obviously one could surmise that at some point somebody built on top of a previous structure, and those tunnels might not have been the tunnels, they might have been the entrance to something below those tunnels, because the tunnels would be supposedly, going roughly around through here. But what's underneath here? Now, how far down do these go? That's the question. I possibly have to do a follow-up video when I get more information. I just want to go ahead and do a video about this. So here we see the classic, this is supposedly from people walking on it. It has this warp, but we know that there's obviously different theories about that, about different events that would warp stone. Because personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe that this is just from people walking on it, because I just don't. It's too bendy. It's got this wave in it. And if there's other examples that you're familiar with this phenomena, it's ridiculous. Sometimes, like in Egypt, there's examples of this, and you can tell it's been melted. But this isn't so much evidence of melting, but definitely evidence of some other kind of stress, let's just say. So here we have that, and then there's another good picture here. And once again, you see that same kind of technique up here, but less deterioration. But still, we have that solid construction. We have some extra supports here. And this is when, supposedly like 90% of people were illiterate and died at the age of 30. But they could build this for some reason. So that's a whole other story. So we see these different entrances, these different archways going into different chambers, different hallways, and so forth. And, just another example of old world construction. Very interesting stuff, especially given the supposed circumstances of day-to-day life. And, the story goes on and on. Here we have another exterior shot. Close up here, and we can see this is all just formed in here, just big rocks just kind of shoved in here, supposedly, and obviously there was some type of facade. This wasn't the original facade. Unfortunately, the original facade was probably destroyed. It's probably more decorative or something like that, but this is the kind of look at it like you're looking at the drywall of a house. You're not looking at the painted and facaded exterior. You're looking at just what's behind the facade. In other words, like imagine looking at a house and not seeing the clapboard or the shingles or whatever exterior they use, and you're looking at more of the foundation of the walls. You're looking at the structural. Okay, this wouldn't have been the original exterior. This would have just been what's behind the facade. So keep that in mind as well. That the original facades would have been destroyed, and this was just purely the structural nature of the building. Okay. Same with this. A lot of people think this is the original. I can assure you that there was some type of more decorative facade on these. But once again, you know, obviously the arch construction, best kind of construction up here, you know, defense and all this stuff. And like I said, this is in Jordan. Okay, the Holy Land near Israel and Palestine and West Bank and all that stuff. So here's an aerial kind of shot. We can see the ruins. You know, we can see more entrances into these tunnels. And these tunnels would have been used supposedly for trading. Like, for example, we'll go back a few. So in the old days, you probably would have had a lot of tents here. People selling things, staying out of the heat to try to stay out of the sun. They would do their trading in here. So you'd have shops, you'd have little like tents, you'd have merchants here selling things and stuff like that. So same thing here. So the ruins here, evidence of melting, evidence of all kinds of things, evidence of attack. And then they started building the roads. You get some buildings around here, but this is, you know, like a historical site, so they try to preserve some of it for the tourists and so forth. But you know, the good stuff is underneath all this anyways. Some giant blocks here in the corner, you know, and this was all done with simple tools and no blueprints, no math, just pure, just throwing things together and getting it right the first time, you know, like, as they tell us. So I thought that was interesting here. And you can just see all these little entrances, all these little things here. It's all really fascinating stuff. It's amazing that it's still here for us to look at. They haven't just completely, but you know, then what would be their story then if there was nothing? So they got to leave a few things around, otherwise people get too suspicious. Okay, and then we have here, now to me it looks like a Tartarian, obviously, horseback, you know, all that kind of stuff. They tell us that his name, here I have it in the notes, I should have had this ready, but you know, sometimes we do these things on the fly. This is Saladin, supposedly. Okay, in the center of Kerak in Jordan. Okay, now to me, and this is just my opinion, Saladin looks a lot like Tartarian. Just from this minimal amount of information that I have here in front of me. Okay, with the mustache, just the eyes, the hat, the fact that he was obviously an expert horseman. Okay, we know that equestrianism, you know, horsemanship, that was obviously a big trait of the Tartarians. Got the pointed shoes. Okay, now if you don't know about the pointed shoes, now the pointed shoes thing, I could go a lot deeper, but the pointed shoes it was like a I wouldn't say a status symbol, but it was that you weren't of a certain ilk. Now, with that said, I'll just say this: the Knights Templar were forbidden from wearing pointed shoes. They were seen as a little too fancy, a little too, you know, I don't want to get into a big thing about pointed shoes, but just, you can look it up yourself. Pointed shoes denotes a certain thing there. I wasn't really prepared to go into it, but you can do your own research on that one. So we have that kind of connection there. In my opinion, looks like a Tartarian, looks like somebody from Asia Minor, you know, someone from the East, you know, in my opinion, not the Middle East, but you know, the Far East. Okay, so moving on. Another shot here, and you can just see just the sheer mass, this just sheer volume of bricks and stones, things. And then this is all resting on those tunnels. Those tunnels will be going through underneath here. There you can kind of see a peak there. Okay. And obviously it's deteriorated a little bit, but it's still really interesting. And then here you have little slits there for the archers, for their weaponry. Okay. There's another shot here. And we see this kind of construction in North America too. In some of the Pueblo Indian, you know, communities, and some of those sites, and in mass too. Like large scale construction. Same construction, different part of the world, supposedly separated, supposedly not in contact, and you see the same kind of construction. You could tell somebody that this was in North America and they probably believe it. You could say that this was in New Mexico, but it's not. It's in Jordan. It's in the Middle East. But regardless, you know, there, like I said, there's that connection there. There's obviously some kind of, you know, just kind of universal understanding of how a building was to be constructed in the old world. They just knew just by intelligence. But, you know, these were not supposedly not built in the old world. These were just, you know, but once again, whole other subject, whole other argument. I'm just showing you guys that this exists, and then you can do your own research. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll do a part 2, find some more structures in Jordan. Maybe there's something I'm missing. This is kind of just a quick video anyways. So if there's enough interest, then obviously I'll look into it a little bit more and do a part 2. And then this here I found interesting. I'm not an expert on these like kind of pictograph and this iconography. Here we have some type of rhombus, type of like, almost looks like a rune. Some, you know, at least similarities to that. Here's some type of cat, or, you know, some type of 4-legged animal with a tail, so maybe, but then almost kind of like a human looking head. Not sure, like that's a nose and eyes. It's a little damaged. If anybody knows what this is all about, what this means or what this signifies, let me know in the comments. And then some more text here, almost looks like Arabic, you know, maybe something left over from an Islamic empire. Not sure, just thought it was interesting. And yeah, so now we're back to this. So I want to thank everybody for watching. If this is the first video of mine that you've seen, I have a lot more videos that talk about the old world and world's fairs, mud floods, and inheritors, and ancient reset civilizations, and so forth. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. And to all my regular viewers, thanks for continuing to subscribe. And I'm going to try to, you know, upload some more. I know I say that and life gets in the way. I'm really busy on Instagram too. If you're an Instagram user, check me out on Instagram at mudfloodmemes or Old Scary World, same account. And I've been doing lives over there 3 days a week, so just really busy with that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. So as always, thank you for watching. Goodbye.